Have you ever had a conversation with someone and you have conveyed so clearly what you knew to be, and later found out they heard something entirely different? They didn't just not get what you said, they heard the opposite of what you said. Because they heard it through their framework, through their intentions, through their beliefs, through their desires. There's all kinds of perceptual miscommunication that goes on. And that's fine, because you don't owe it to anyone, nor does anyone owe it to you to be on your wavelength. You don't need consensus from groups or others. You don't need agreements. You don't need collaboration with others, but it is so important that you collaborate with who you really are. In other words, alignment with that broader part of you is essential to your joy and to your deliberate creating. So often as you're moving through your life experience, you are trained early on by those who surround you, who have forgotten that they are vibrational beings who have been well rooted in the physical environment and who are aware of what is surrounding them. And they are aware in their observation of their life experience that there are parts of it that are really pleasing and parts of them that are not so pleasing. And so most people set out on really an impossible task of controlling conditions and circumstances so that they can feel better. So when their children are born, or when the children come to school, or when employees go to work, or when people gather almost anywhere, there are those who say these are the rules that are required for your participation. And what happens with your children, happened to you when you were children, is that because they were looking for the best set of circumstances to please them, they were attempting to control conditions that they couldn't control. And the more you try to control something you can't control, the worse you feel. And the worse you feel, the more you try to control things you can't control. So the basis of most of your experiences is that you were coaxed away from your own guidance, because it just went better for you if you pleased those who were surrounding you. Well-meaning parents often set their children into an uncomfortable beginning because they say, they really believe, they're wrong, but they really believe that as your parent, I got here first, and I've been here a long time, and I've kept good records about what could go wrong. Not only from my own experience, but I've been watching it with others too. And so I have a long list, and I have set up for myself in my mind a sort of scattered idea of what we all need to do in order for you to have a good life. And so I will guide you, because you're new and you don't know, and I've been here longer and I do know. And while we understand why you would feel that way, you know where to get the groceries, and your child certainly cannot. And you have provided shelter, and your children certainly cannot. The thing that we really want to emphasize at the beginning of this gathering, where our primary intent is to help you return to your natural guidance, is to help you realize that you were coaxed away from your natural guidance. And that's why it now, for most people, feels unnatural to be coaxed back into your natural guidance. In other words, you become accustomed to caring more about someone's response to you than you do about how you feel. And so you make your decisions not based on coming into vibrational alignment with who you are, but based upon not making the water murky for others who are watching you. And you know how hard that is, because there are many of them that want different things from you. If you've had the uncomfortable situation of having two people who want different things from you, maybe your mate wants one thing and your child wants another, and you are in the middle really wanting to please them both because you've been trained to be a pleaser. It feels so good when you're pleasing someone, doesn't it? When someone holds you as their object of attention and they like what they see, it feels good, doesn't it? It feels good because in their appreciation of you, they're connected to source and flooding it all over you. But when you then try to seek that approval, not just from one, but from two or three or many, you lose your way quickly. It's like having a schizophrenic navigational system that says, come this way, oh I mean 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 this way, Oh, I mean this way. When possible, make a legal U-turn. When possible, make a legal U-turn. When possible, make a legal U-turn. And pretty soon, you don't know what to do because none of it makes any sense. So we're wanting to help you to remember that while you are in these physical bodies, you are so much more. And while in these physical bodies, you may recognize that there was something before it, there's got to be. In other words, you look around your planet and you know there's something way more than what you have going on. In other words, as brilliant as you all are, you're not launching other Earths into orbit. And when you do launch something into orbit, often something falls off of it right away. In other words, there is a much bigger plan of creation going on than is happening from your physical format. And we know you acknowledge that, but we want you to realize that, yes, while there certainly was something before you were in this physical body, and absolutely will be something after you are no longer focused in this physical body, the most important thing for you to remember is that you are a being who has a non-physical basis and a physical basis all at the same time. You've talked about this as you talk about your soul or your spirit. You talk about it even as you talk about that which you call God. We want you to understand that you in your physical body are an extension of a broader, older, eternal you. And it's an energy that is pure positive energy in the sense that from your framework, you would be able to recognize no negative emotion whatsoever. It's an essence of understanding that has been born out of the evolution of experience. It's interesting as we listen to our physical friends talk about or wonder about or worry about or argue about evolution, even though there's so much evidence of this continuing expansion of all species. But we want you to understand that it's not just in the physical sense that things are evolving and becoming more. It is in every sense. Everything that you know as physical has a non-physical basis, and everything that is non-physical is expanding. And you cannot have a physical expansion without there being a non-physical expansion at the heart of it. In other words, it really is pointless to try to separate what's physical and what's non-physical because it is components of the same. Non-physical is essential to physical, and physical is essential to non-physical. And everything is expanding. So that which man wants to call God, we call it source energy. That which man wants to call God is expanding because of that which you are experiencing out here on this leading edge. So you were source energy and still are, but a part of that source energy was projected into that which you know as you. And now you are here, you are so predominantly focused here that, and it is the way you intended it. It is a wonderful thing that you are fully aware of this physical experience here. As you are here focused upon the variety, you cannot help but come to constant new conclusions about what would be better. Even when you breathe the air, the cells of your body are sending responses about how the air is that they are breathing. In other words, the consciousness in your body is consciousness that is making requests also. The species that lived on your planet before you got here were the advanced version of that which was to be you, here experiencing the atmosphere, having experiences that caused it to ask for more and more and more. You understand what we are getting at? You didn't just get here and say, oh, lucky for us, we can breathe this air. It was being created by the ever continuing asking of the consciousness that was the leading edge consciousness at that time. And so here you are, leading edge consciousness, experiencing life, and in your human form, with your brain being the captain of your ship, having exposure to experience and asking for constant improvement, whether you use your words or not, you can't help but do it. But even at a cellular level, you are asking, and future experiences are benefiting by the asking that is taking place by every point of consciousness that is here physically focused. So, it's a big picture, isn't it? The non-physical part of you is expressing here more specifically and deliberately, and specifically like pioneers exploring life and asking for more. Now, why would you do that? Would you do that because life needs to be more? No, it isn't that you need another picture or you need another statue or you need another piece of clothing or you need another much of anything. It's that you want it. It's that it's natural to live life, and it's natural because every particle of consciousness is selfishly oriented. It's natural from your selfish, what would be better for me position to acknowledge what would be better for you from this leading edge perspective. You see, we can see how you would say, oh, that's selfish, what's better for me? If you are living in an environment that is lack-oriented and has shortage consciousness that says, oh, you selfish one, you're worrying about what will come for you, and you might use it up so that the rest of us won't have so much. But when you understand that that's not the way that it works, that every point of consciousness is asking and every point of consciousness is being answered, then you can't call it selfish, then you gotta call it creation. It can't be selfish if everyone can ask and everyone is answered. It can't be called selfish, can it? You gotta stop feeling that it's wrong for you to ask for what you want, because you can't stop asking for what you want. Every particle of the universe is oriented in that way. And if you could stop asking for what you want, you would cease to be. And we don't just mean you, we would mean everything. But don't worry, it can't happen, because everything is moving forward. Everything is moving forward. You just can't have exposure to an experience without coming to a conclusion about what would be better. Jerry knows that after living with Esther for a few years in the bus. Every day she finds a better way of doing a few things. Every day things are in a different place, a better place, a better place, a new and improved place. Almost every time she performs any function, she improves it slightly. She trims a little time off of it, or she makes it more fun. She enjoys it a little more, or she puts it in a different place. In other words, it's just the nature of that which you are. You must look forward, because you realize at many levels of your being, even what you might call unconscious levels of your being that we're wanting to bring forward to the consciousness, even at unaware, oblivious levels of your being, you are asking and Source is answering, and you are expanding, and it is also very good. We are eager to talk with you about anything that is important to you. We see our value to you as helping you, no matter what your subject is, to close your gap on it. We want to show you that while it's not possible for you to find appreciation if you're depressed, it's not even possible for you to be happy when you're sad. In other words, it's not possible for you to make those big vibrational jumps, but it is possible for you to move a little and a little and a little, just lean a little more, a little more, a little more toward what you want. We want you to realize that this powerful law of attraction, which says that which is likened to itself is drawn, has created an incredible vortex that summons to itself. In other words, when your life has caused you to ask for something, and the Source within you becomes it and holds the idea of it, and law of attraction responds to that vibrational concentration, there is a sensation of momentum moving toward that which you have become. And to you, it would feel like a fast-moving river that if you stick your toe in it, it pulls you in the direction of its current. And that analogy of a fast-moving river serves you really well if you will let it, because if you've ever been on a fast-moving river, Jerry and Esther were last summer, a really fast-moving river, and when they put their rubber raft in, they knew the stream was going to take them downstream. Not one of them said, meet you upstream. There were about 30 boats, most of them high school wrestlers, and even they did not try to paddle upstream. So if you get this sensation of this inevitable stream that's moving, and we've explained to you why it is inevitable and why it is powerful, and you realize that everything that you want is in that current, in that stream, and if you will let yourself go, and by that we don't mean put a motor on your boat and drive it downstream. We don't even mean turn your boat around and paddle downstream. We don't even mean turn your boat around. We just mean let go of those paddles, let go of the oars. If you will stop the upstream paddling, the downstream naturalness will take you. In other words, if you'll stop complaining, your solutions will come. If you'll stop defending, you'll have nothing to defend against. If you'll stop pushing against what you don't want, you'll get what you do want.